Bonjour. Can you hear me? Yeah, it's working. How are you doing? Good? Yeah? Well, welcome to this wonderful PyData Paris conference. I am very, very excited to be here with you. And I have to say thanks to the organizers for making this event happen. My name is Alenka, and I have spent over 4, I would say, incredible years in open source. I do think it's an amazing place. And when I was getting ready for this talk, I was wondering what others feel about open source. I was thinking what to ask World Wide Web what the situation is about thinking of open source and its importance. And I asked Google. This is what I found. From a research study about the value of open source, they state that open source software is a global public good that plays a vital role in the economy and is foundational for most technology we use today. We agree, right? Yes, I agree. Another blog post about why open source software matters states that open source fosters a collective approach to problem solving. I agree. And another one, a bit more businessy, blog post, it states that developing and deploying open source software is no longer just a novel idea, it's a strategic necessity in a fast-changing digital world. We agree, right? Yeah, thanks, Nick. So, you might be thinking or hearing or reading similar things. You might even be thinking, I should get involved, next time I should open the issue, I should help make the documentation better, I should get involved, I should maybe help my engineers to do some open source work. Well, today I'm not going to tell you what you should do. Instead, I'm going to talk about karaoke. Yeah, I know. I'm going to explain. So it's 1995, and I'm 10 years old. There's a national show going on in Slovenia. It's a small country, but it's still, national. It's karaoke. It's really fun. Everybody was involved, from kids to grown-ups. And it's happening in my hometown. Of course I go. Who wouldn't? Yeah? I go. I get selected. And I go on national television. I had fun. I don't remember the setting of this show being stressful. I don't remember this kind of setting where I was in to give me some complicated feelings like, oh, I don't think I'm good enough, or oh, I'm not going to sing as well as somebody else, or I'm going to sing wrong. I was just having fun. It was really cool. And I have to say, I wasn't that good. I'm not a good singer. So you might be asking, if we're coming back to today, what does this have to do with data ecosystem we create in? Well, I think being on national television or working in this very fast-changing data ecosystem can be scary. If I would ask you now, I have to do this because I can see you. If I would ask you, do you remember a time where you felt you were not smart enough? Yeah, maybe not smart enough yeah, as somebody sitting next to you. They look so smart, I'm not that smart. Do you remember a time where you were afraid of being wrong? Yes, like a PR review or a meeting where you just didn't want to speak up because you didn't want it to be bad. Yeah, I do feel with you. I feel the same things. And I asked my LinkedIn community. I did a big research. 30 votes still. And LinkedIn has some downsides to the polls, but I think it's clear, right? We do feel these things. We feel burnout or lack of motivation, which can be different or just coming one after the other or mixed. We feel impostercism. We feel loneliness. And one brave person is okay, and I think we should get that higher up, right? And from the discussions, it's also clear that they can be not just only one. I think the percentage would be different if we'll be able to select multiple answers. So it's also clear to me that this is not happening all the time. We don't feel this all the time, but when we do, it's really strong, right? It's really bad. So a natural question would be, what can we do about this? Well, I naively think that there's kind of connection to the girl singing karaoke and having fun, right? And I know there's some smart people doing the research, and they're kind of hinting at it. For example, Dr. Kat Hicks, she's a psychologist for software teams. She stresses that it's not changing people, it's changing processes, okay? So she talks about things like developer thriving, which sounds amazing. She talks about things like learning culture, things like learning debt. In this QR code, scanning this code will take you to a talk. It's a short talk from Dr. Kat, and you can then go broader, search in other places for research, for talks connected to that. And in this talk, what she says is that people are always looking for cues to whether or not they're in a safe place for learning. And I have to say that the safe place where I feel that I can thrive, a safe place where I feel I can learn and I saw others learn and grow, is open source. I think in open source I can be that 10-year-old kid singing karaoke. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. Now, I'm having a lack of imagination on my side. I was thinking of names for these characters. The only thing I came up with was Data Kid and Data Elastica. Let's go with Data Kid, okay? Maybe Antoine, if he's here, can help me with a better nickname. So imagine you're a data kid, okay? A data kid wants to data kid wants to learn something completely new. But maybe Data Elastica wants to try something and a bit new, but she just wants to stretch out of the comfort zone. And they are both driven towards open source. In fact, open source can help build on some skills. I think open source can build on playfulness, for example. Playfulness meaning you just have to give it a try. And that's what Rok Micheuc did this summer in Prague. Rok was really trying to find a way to solve this problem we have in PyArrow, which is lack of type checking support. Normally, how we go about this is try to get this work through funding, or maybe there's a team that really needs this and we'll give some development support. Now, Rok really likes conferences and Rok really likes sprints. So he, thought of making this more playful. He organized Arrow sprints in Prague on this topic, and he got a playmate. Patrick and Rok were able to do a proof of concept there, and continuing to work on that, so continuing effort on Rok's side, got us a PR this month that will include the existing PyArrow stubs project that you were able to use that for type checking before, but it will now be included PyArrow with a lot of other things you need to do to get this in a package like PyArrow. So what will that enable the users is autocomplete, of course. It will enable us to browse through documentation through docstrings. You have to know that most of the code in PyArrow is Python, so it's not as easy as it looks. And another thing, for downstream packages, so packages that depend on PyArrow, they will be able to check types they expect from PyArrow methods. Now, how open source helped me with this building playfulness and trying out was trying if I'm any good at software development. I was, 4 or 5 years ago, I had no experience with open source, with software development. And I was browsing through projects with the help of Rok. And Arrow is really interesting. It's kind of complicated. It sounded fun. And it had a lot of implementation. So it's a huge thing, and it has a lot of language implementations. I knew R at that time, and I knew a bit of Python, so I thought it was a great place to play around. And also because of this huge community, I thought I could go incognito, right? You know, they won't notice if I do something stupid. And I did. I started working on R package at first because it had really nice, good first issues. It had a lot of descriptions, so I was able to start. It was fun. It was really intriguing to find solution in this huge code base. But I did get stuck. But I had support. I had a lot of support from Rock. I got support from Nick, from John, from Neil as our package maintainers. And you know, when you get a PR merged, it's a really rewarding feeling. It's cool. But I have to say, even more rewarding is when you see that the community that builds, this open source that builds for you. And I have to say that in open source, you have champions that do the work, but really it's the community, it's the group of people that do it together. So thank you. Okay, so what open source can also build is your curiosity. For example, when DataKid, starts something new, it's hard to grasp the terms. It's hard to understand what what's meant by documentation when you read or just when you listen to people. If we take, for example, my favorite Apache Arrow, if we take the format definition, it states, Apache Arrow defines a language-independent, columnar memory format for flat and nested data, organized for efficient analytic operations on modern hardware like CPUs and GPUs. It also states that the Arrow memory format supports zero-copy reads for lightning-fast data access without serialization overhead. Quite a lot, huh? Yeah? I mean, thank you. It takes an effort to put an essence of such a project into 2 sentences. I think it's a skill. But if you're a data kid, this can be overwhelming. Yeah? And it actually reminds me of my yoga journey. When you study yoga philosophy, you read yogic texts. And yogic texts are written in Sanskrit, in aphorisms. Aphorisms are really short, concise definition, and they hold deep meaning. Okay? Do you see the connection? Yeah, okay. For example, this is from Patanjali Yoga Sutras, and it describes what yoga is in 4 Sanskrit words. So yoga, chitta is mind stuff, vrittis are fluctuations, and nirodha is not stopping, more like silencing. So this is the definition. And in yogic text, you have, after the aphorism, you have kind of a translation where you say something like, the scholars say it, not me. Chitta is the consciousness, which includes the mind, the intellect, the ego, and then yoga is the method of silencing the vibrations of the chitta. A bit clearer, but still like, okay, if somebody said that to you and now do yoga. Like, what, right? And then in this yogic text, what comes after are commentaries, and they can take a page or a book, okay? And when you learn yoga, you go through it and you read it again, so you don't stop at the translation. And this is where I learned the value of rereading versus single reading. When I single read, I read a book from beginning to the end, and I understand, right? But what yoga teachers taught me was to not do that with yogic text. You need to reread, read again, and then read some other text that describes the same thing. And this is kind of the curiosity that helped me learn in open source. This is the curiosity that helped me when I felt I don't understand something, or better, I don't understand anything. Okay? And now, just a second about documentation. I want to talk to maintainers and contributors a bit. We saw it's important to write documentation, so let's write documentation. We could also work on the skills, because it takes skill to write, to understand the code, and put it into words. It's not easy to put it into nice examples and descriptions. So we could do like work on the skills. And also we shouldn't look down on this documentation work from perspective of somebody giving this kind of issues to somebody else or even receiving these issues. It's important. It takes skill, so don't look down on this kind of work. An idea is we could kind of help each other, help ourselves with the structure of aphorisms. You know, start with the definition, PyArrow tables, and then have a short translation, what that is, and then, and then on the link below, you can see that there's about PyArrow tables, then you have more context, you have examples, you have connections to other projects, etc. So that will help the data kid and the data elastica. Oh dear, so bad. Okay, how are we doing? Good? Okay, I have the last section. I can carry on, right? Yeah, so let's be brave in open source. Yeah, it helps build bravery. Because in open source, what open source taught me is that you have to dive in. You have to express your opinions, your ideas. You have to try and figure out things that interest you. You have to do the solution, maybe then champion it, and it takes effort, but there's no way around it. But from that, amazing things can happen. And I'm going to talk about some brave individuals and the impact they had in open source. The first example will be from Rolf and Kwan's side, but before I get to that, I need to get a bit technical. Regarding the tabular data structures, in Python, we know that we have different data frame libraries, right? One could use when working with tabular data structures. And it gives us this possibility of pick and choose between different ones depending on our use case. Interestingly to me, R has a built-in data structure. It's called data frame. You can use something else, but mostly this is what it's used and it's optimized. Okay? I'm not saying one is better than the other, but there's a difference, and I think it's kind of cool. And if we look at the Python ecosystem, though it is nice that you can pick and choose, it comes with a cost. Cost of converting and copying, cost of needing to maintain different supports. If you're a downstream library, for example, a plotting library, you need to kind of ingest different data frames, and it's a lot of work. So I will call this issue a fragmentation of Python data libraries. I hope this is a better, imagination from my side. So getting back to Rolf and Kwan's side, so yeah, they were trying to fix this or help fixing this fragmentation issue. And they facilitated this discussion to construct a protocol that would allow copying and that would allow converting, as if possible without copying, from one data frame into another, which would make it easier to navigate this ecosystem. The effort was part of the Consortium for Python Data API Standards. It includes also array interchange, array API, and data frame API. And this consortium includes open source representatives and also the industry representatives. And it takes a lot of effort and a lot of bravery to get everybody involved, everybody on the same table, and then move the discussion towards the solution. It takes a lot of work. And what's also brave is that if you have a different idea, it's really brave to champion it. And from this work that was done on the data frame interchange protocol, Marco Gorelli had an idea, why not a library instead of a protocol? A library would just do the work for us. So Marco designed a narwhals. Narwhals is kind of a translator in this animal kingdom, helping data frame libraries talk to each other without you needing to do anything. So they state that it's a compatibility layer between Python data frame libraries. Doing the work takes courage, but then champion the idea and building community around, it takes bravery as well. Now, a different perspective, a different way of handling this fragmentation problem was thought of by Will and Joris. what they wanted to do was include or built on Apache Arrow. It's a de facto standard, meaning it's widespread. Okay, so it's a format for how memory is laid out, how data is laid out in memory. So we could use that for the interchange, and what they really wanted to do is to make it easier for Python developers, for Python libraries, and so they wouldn't have to depend on something like PyArrow. The design they had was called Arrow PyCapsule protocol. It's built on an existing functionality in Arrow called the CData interface. It was already implemented in 2020 by Antoine. And what you need to know about the CData interface is that it surfaces information about your data. Where is it stored in memory and how it looks like? So if you understand Arrow data, you can recreate it as a library. And what they added on top of that was the use of capsules, which are part of the Python C API. And you can think of capsules as envelopes, where you put the CData interface information, you seal it, you give it a name, and then all the animal kingdom can just get that information and then reconstruct the data. The data is already there. They reconstruct the objects they need to work with this data. If you want to learn more about this protocol or PyArrow in general, or Arrow in general, I suggest you visit the link in this QR code. It's a talk from last year's PyData conference about this topic by Joris. Yeah, waiting for pictures to be taken. OK. There's a link to the slides at the end if you missed any of this. OK, so from the talk, I took an example just to have a broader overview of what that means if you have a protocol as a user. Before, if you had a Polars data frame and you wanted to do something in Data Fusion, for example, you had to go through Arrow because Polars understood Arrow and Data Fusion understood Arrow, but they didn't understand each other, right? And now it's much simpler. You can just go directly because they both implement the protocol and they can just talk to each other. So it's nicer. The protocol is getting adopted, is getting adoption. It has a lot of support. Here is an issue from our GitHub issue tracker about promoting the usage. And Kyle is doing a lot of work to help this protocol be adopted. The list is longer. I just had to cut it because it's already not visible and it wouldn't be otherwise. So go and check that out. Right, so we're at the end. We saw that if you get involved in open source, you do have an impact. But more importantly, it helps you build on some skills you can have. For example, playfulness, curiosity, bravery. I think these skills can help you in times where you feel overwhelmed or just not good enough. And these skills will follow you wherever you go. So thank you.
Thank you. We have time for a few questions. So if you have one, please raise your hand and shout, because I can't see everyone.
Hello, thank you very much. I just discovered PyArrow Compute. And when you're on your slide, for me, PyArrow was just a storing format. So the question is, what is the trade-off between PyArrow Compute and using a data frame library? Because, of course, you can do both.
OK, so the question is, why would one use PyArrow Compute module? It's part of the PyArrow package versus Polars or Pandas, right? PyArrow Compute is really well written, and it can be used for simple operations, but it's not designed in a way that Polars and Pandas are to really do enormous amount of data manipulation. So if you have a lot of things you need to do, I think PyArrow Compute is getting the amount of operations is getting better, but it's basic. Thank you.
Any other questions?
If I was a complete newbie and was interested in getting involved and contributing to PyArrow or a similar project, how would you recommend I get started? Like, where would you say would be a good place to start?
Thank you. So yeah, where to start if you want to contribute to PyArrow? First of all, I would suggest joining the mailing lists, maybe asking questions there, maybe finding support there, because it depends. Are you interested in, are you using PyArrow already and you want to, get some functionality better, or you want to help with documentation because you see somewhere is lacking, or do you want to just do some other, because there's so much work you can do. It's not just coding. It's, as I said, technical writing. It could be like some developing logos, or it can be organizing a conference, like not a conference, a sprint, or anything like that. So a mailing list would be something I would suggest, and then just issue tracker. Look at it. If we're bad at tagging good first issues, let us know and just say, hey, Alenka, there was a link onto my GitHub repo, tag me, and we'll help. Thanks for the question.
Thank you for sharing your insights. I'm aware that there's an Arrow Summit later this week on Thursday. Would you be able to elaborate for the rest of us what will be discussed, or what is the goal of the summit, and how to best be part of it? Thank you.
Thank you for an amazing question. So the question was about Arrow Summit. Yes, it's happening on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yes.
Right.
The goal of the summit is to get everybody together that's interested in open source. So if you are interested, it doesn't matter if you're contributing or if you're a core maintainer, or it doesn't matter. Get involved. Come. We'll be there. I'll be there. So you can just ping me there so we can talk and I can help you. The aim of it, is just to get everybody together. There will be presentations on the usage of Arrow in different ways. For example, how Flight is used in business settings, how ADBC is used. There will be discussion on the project itself, because I think it's 10 years, right, Neil? 10 years of, oh, amazing. We'll have a cake? So everybody's welcome, no matter how involved you are in the project. So yeah, come later and we can talk I think you just need to register in meetups or something like that, right, Sylvain?
Yes. To register, there is a separate event from the sprints. It's at the same venue, just a different room for the summit, and you can just sign up on meetup.com for the summit. Thanks for bringing this up.
Oh, Rock, not per K. Just kidding.
Hey, thank you for the wonderful talk. So after all your experience, if you had to start on a new project, let's say PyArrow disappears, how would you pick a new project? Which community would you join and why? What would your thinking process be?
First thought would be, okay, what did I use or felt I was interested in while working on PyArrow? Because in open source, the projects are connected. Would it be Data Fusion because it's building on Arrow and it sounds so amazing, or would it be Pandas because it's supporting PyArrow now? So there would be possibilities. Well, if PyArrow disappears, then yeah. But yeah, you see my kind of thought, right? The other one would be, as I did before, when you have somebody around you that's already doing the work, I would just go and talk to people, because that's where you feel, because it's not about, coding is really, we have fun with coding, that's important, but the community is also the playing factor here. So where you feel safe, where you feel nice, So I think just talking to people where they create and just see that, or if that's if the projects are connected.
Okay,
two more here.
Oh, here's one.
Hi, thank you for the very engaging talk. So maybe that's more a question for Marco Gorelli, and I have to catch up myself, but I was a bit surprised with the from protocol to library approach, because naively, to me, that sounds like that would be like yet another layer of maintenance, of dependency, and I didn't really see the well, you explained that in Python we don't have this built-in data structure, as opposed to R and Pandas clearly developed to sort of offer an equivalent in Python. But now there's the issue of translating different data objects that contain the same data. And yeah, anyway, I don't know, maybe you have a few words to build my intuition of why yet another library, which means like more maintenance, like keeping up to date with the other packages and having like yet another development team. How can that help? Because to me it sounds like that's like
it's a good question. Just to clarify, you're asking more about the narwhals in general or the protocols, or all of it together? The approach of narwhals. Well, it's, as I said, it's brave. It takes courage to kind of say, okay, let's do a library and you know, use it. And I think it's not great for every use case. Because yeah, you have another library, you have to kind of support that, you have, you know, there's changes, yes. The good thing is it's really small. And the other thing is that you don't have to do any work as a maintainer. For example, if you're a plotting library, you can use narwhals to just do translations, because otherwise, all the data frame libraries have to each implement protocols, which can be short, but it has its downsides. It's so doing the protocols in the library's data frame section makes it easier for plotting libraries, because they don't see what's going on and it just works, right? But at the same time, if you have narwhals, you have more control over it. So it depends, I would say it depends on the use case. But I think both are good approaches. I know that there was a lot of discussions of, oh, another thing, another protocol, another library, can we just make this work? It's not easy to make it work. It's easier for arrays, it's not easy for data frames, because there's there's some differences that make it hard to do that. But I think we're going into the right direction, and that's how open source evolves. We will just see which one works better, and you know, that's it. I hope it was okay. Yeah.
We have time for one last question. Okay, there you go.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I really liked what you said about making a project a learning environment to give motivation to contributors to be happy and stay there and get the project in a good health. Do you have specific recommendations for maintainers, project maintainers, on how they can improve the environment of their project to keep it that way or to make it that way?
Thank you for such a good question. So how can we package maintainers, library maintainers, make it nice for new contributors? It's something that we are starting to talk now about in Arrow as well. I think it's, you know, this will get momentum. We have to catch this train. I don't know exact ideas, but what I will do is do more research, what Dr. Kat Higgs does, because she really has a lot of good ideas. And what she states is that the processes need to be updated and be better. So we just have to do the research, maybe have some kind of common channel to discuss these things. Because I know as a core developer, I can imagine you know the stuff. You're not really sure what the new contributors need, right? And so maybe we can help here. I'm still totally new, so I can help to kind of have this good discussion started and make it safe for everybody, the way I feel. So yeah, thanks for this question. I think we should talk and just kind of do the research. I think it's not an easy. The answer is not easy. We need to kind of structure it. It needs a bit more effort than just Okay.
Thank you, Alenka. Everyone, please give her another round of applause.
Bonne journée.